Hi everyone, so I have a review and demo for you today for the Makeup Forever Ultra HD Foundation Stick, and this is in shade Y215. I am in MAC terms around NC5 to NC10. I have kind of cool yellow undertones. I have redness that I'm trying to cover, just even out my skin tone, get my face a little bit lighter so it's closer to my neck, and I have kind of an oilier T-zone and fairly dry cheeks and other spots kind of around my face that tend to be dry. So I'm definitely combination kind of dry to oily, and foundation in general tends to come off my nose pretty quickly, a little bit less so on my chin. I am somewhat acne prone, though it's definitely gotten better in the past several years. I do have one small blemish, but nothing major. I just don't really get a lot of breakouts like I did a few years ago. So I had tried the Makeup Forever Ultra HD Liquid, and I do have a review and demo on that on shade Y205. That shade didn't have enough yellow for me, so I feel like it ended up looking a little bit pink, and I will link to that review up in the corner and also in the description box if you want to check that one out. So I think I only had a sample of that. I never did buy it. Now, getting a sample of a stick may be a little trickier. They actually carried this new shade in store, so I picked that up. I was quite excited. I follow somebody on Instagram, Fair by Fate, and she kind of posted a quick first impressions, I think, and said she really liked it. She said also that it was kind of NC10-ish, so I thought I would pick it up during the VIB sale and see if it worked for me. I was thinking about also getting Y205, but since I was able to pick this up in store, I was able to use it a few times to see, is this formula gonna work for me? Does it make sense for me to buy the other color to see if I would want to mix them or whatnot? I don't have the other color, so maybe that gives you an idea of how that went. So I'm gonna go ahead and put this on my face and talk about it a little while you watch me putting it on my face. So I've had issues with it looking kind of patchy and cakey on this cheek specifically. On my chin, it tends to, I don't know, it's almost like the pores start ejecting sebum. Some foundations do this. So I'll have all these weird textured white bumps, and this is one of those foundations that does that to me. Let's see. I really have to make sure not to use too much, so that's why I only put a little bit on and then kind of added a little bit more at a time. I have this dark spot right here, which I have a feeling is some sort of sunspot situation, because it looks very different from the rest of my freckles, and didn't really cover that, and it tends to just kind of slide off that blemish, which is a fairly new, still kind of oily blemish. So this is probably the best I've gotten this foundation to look. So today I did use a primer, the Murad Invisiblur Perfecting Shield. I also used a little bit more moisturizing of a SPF, this Paula's Choice Skin Recovery SPF 30, and then went over, I put this all over my face. So this foundation, if I use a lot, I feel like it can look really nice, but quite a lot of coverage, more than I am typically used to wearing. It has a little bit more of a natural finish. I did not put any powder over it. Color-wise, it is super similar to this is the Anastasia Stick Foundation in Warm Alabaster, and this is the Makeup Forever in Y215. Super similar. Anastasia does have a lighter shade in Alabaster, which I kind of wish I had picked that one up, just because it's a little bit lighter, but it almost seems a little bit more yellow and a little bit less peach. So if that Anastasia Warm Alabaster color, just kind of for reference, is a tiny bit dark, check out Alabaster. I think you might like it if you're looking for a little bit more yellow tones. So I believe I mentioned when I was all zoomed in, This cheek has been such a problem for me with this foundation. It just looks like cakey and it clings in this weird way. Really obnoxious. I felt like it looks pretty nice on my left cheek here. Most of the time it doesn't look so bad. An area where it always looks nice, this is kind of strange, is my upper lip. I don't have a lot of pores there. It's fairly smooth skin. It's not oily, it's not dry. It's just normal. And it sits really nicely on that. So if you don't have a lot of texture and you're kind of normal skin, I think maybe it works out pretty well. It would work out well for you. Pretty much everywhere on my face, I have some amount of, you know, more noticeable pores or more dry areas or more oily areas. And it does come off my nose even when I use a primer and a powder. No primer, good powder, RCMA powder, cosmetics powder, it just does not stay on my nose very well. So lasting power really hasn't wowed me. I had been excited about this because Bailey B here on YouTube, she also did not get on so well with the liquid, but the stick worked really well for her, and she is combination oily, so I thought, hey, maybe this will work well for me. I'm excited, and so far it's just not really lived up to my expectations. I will include some information as to how it wore today using this primer. This is the first time I used a primer. I had it in the box ready to return just because I felt like I could not get this to look nice on my face. So I thought I'd give it another shot with this primer underneath, figuring that it gives a lot of slip. It will help it blend out. As you can see, it just takes a while to blend out. The Anastasia does as well, but the Anastasia sits on my skin so much better, except for catching on dry flakes. I feel like this, it's almost worse on some of the dry areas in a way, but it's less of a matte finish, so it's really confusing as to why this sits so poorly on my face. So we'll see. Maybe the really slippy silicone primer underneath will help. I do enjoy the finish. I feel like it's kind of just a natural sheen without being shiny and not too matte, and it just looks nice if you can get it to not sit weirdly on your skin. So I would kind of hesitantly recommend this. You know, definitely keep in mind you may not work on your skin type and you may have to return it. You know, that is the beauty of Sephora. You can try things and take them back. You know, this is not something that's so easy to get a sample of. I mean, I don't know. Would they like cut off a chunk for you to take a sample? I don't know. Maybe they would. Maybe it's worth asking. So I'm still really on the fence whether or not I'm going to keep it. If I can get it to wear nicely with a primer, I think it's worth it. Especially if with a primer it will sit on the drier areas better than the Anastasia. You know, my skin really goes back and forth as to how flaky it is one day to the next, how dry it is, how oily it is. So yeah, I need something that I can use and it will look pretty good most of the time. That's really what I'm looking for. The color I think works well for me. It's not, I think the Y205 would be too light, too pink to really go naturally. Maybe it would be closer to my neck color, but if I go too light on my face, it starts to look a little bit strange. And I think it's almost better for me to go a tiny bit darker on my face than my neck. So yeah, I think that's all my thoughts on the Makeup Forever Ultra HD Stick Foundation in Y215, just to wrap things up. Like I said, I will add a note either to the video or in the description box as to how this wore with a primer for the rest of the day. I might add just a little bit of powder to my nose just to give it the best shot it can. I'm going to use the IT Cosmetics Bye Bye Pores powder, and I'm kind of trying to do just kind of a light dusting so that I don't take away that nice finish. If I use too much, it definitely settles into my lines, kind of as expected. If I don't use too much, it's definitely not a problem. And you know, I like light to medium coverage, medium being the max for me. But most of the time it's kind of somewhere in between light and medium, so not even medium coverage is what I'm looking forward, just to take the redness out of my face, even it out a little, and get it kind of meshing with my neck a little bit better. So that's always something to keep in mind. I don't love a ton of coverage. My skin just cannot take a lot of coverage. It tends to look bad. You know, I just have a face that doesn't carry a lot of face, like a base makeup very well. But I am 37, so there's that. You know, maybe when I was younger, I could pile it on, but not anymore. So thank you so much for watching, subscribing, commenting, liking, etc. I really appreciate it. I hope you're having a wonderful day. Let me know if you have any questions or comments below, whether or not it has worked for you in the past, or you're thinking about picking it up. I would love to hear from you. And if you do share your experience, please include your skin tone, skin type, all that stuff. It's super helpful to everybody watching the video and for me. So I hope you're having a good day, and I'll see you soon.